The crackling fire painted shadows on the walls of the small hut. Grandmother Ayegba sat on her low stool, her wise eyes narrowing at her grandson, Ojochide, who stood guilty with a piece of stolen meat clutched in his small hand. Ojochide, Ayegba began, her voice stern. Have I taught you nothing about honesty? You think taking what isn't yours will end well? Let me tell you a story, a true story, about a group of thieves far more skilled than you. They thought they could outwit the gods themselves. Do you know what happened to them? The boy's curiosity overriding his shame shook his head and sat down by her feet. Tell me, grandmother. And so she began. Long time ago, Ayegba said, her voice soft and rhythmic. In the heart of IGALALAND, there lived a mighty Attah, whose rule was blessed by the gods. The prosperity of the kingdom flowed from a sacred treasure, the OGWUGWU, a golden orb said to hold the essence of the land's spirit. It was kept in a chamber deep within the Attah's palace, protected by ancient spells and spirits. The Attah warned all who served him. This herb is not just treasure, it is the heartbeat of Igala. To steal it is to doom us all. But whispers of the orb's power reached far beyond the kingdom's borders. Some sought it for greed, others for vengeance, and one man sought it for revenge. Ayegba leaned closer. There was a band of thieves known as OGWUGWU, the spirit shadows. They were not like ordinary thieves. Each had a gift, a power born from ancient rituals and bloodlines. Idoko, their leader, was a man of few words. He could slip into any shadow and vanish, his presence undetectable in darkness. But he carried a burden, a secret tied to the palace he planned to rob. Ajuma, the seer, had visions of the future. She joined the band to escape her haunted past. Her gift had served them many times, but it had also cursed her with glimpses of tragedies she could not prevent. Odoma, the trickster, was the voice of the group. His ability to mimic sounds and create illusions made him invaluable, but behind his laughter hid a deep pain and a betrayal he had never forgiven. And Ocholi, the warrior, was their strength. He had fought for many masters but joined the thieves for one reason alone: to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. By moonlight, he was unstoppable. By day, he was just a man. Their fates intertwined when a stranger came to them with a promise: unimaginable riches if they could steal the OGWUGWU. He called himself Babasa, a wandering elder. But his true intentions were hidden behind his kind face. The thieves, blinded by ambition, agreed. If you haven't subscribed by now, this is a perfect time to touch that subscribe button. Thank you. As Ayegba spoke, Ojochide's eyes grew wider. Did they get caught? He asked. Patience, my child, Ayegba replied, smiling. The story is just beginning, you know. The night they entered the palace was one without a moon. Idoko led them through the shadows, past the guards who never saw or heard a thing. But as they reached the inner sanctum, strange things began to happen. Something's wrong, Ajuma whispered, her eyes glowing faintly. The spirits are watching us. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. A voice echoed in the chamber, deep and commanding. Who dares disturb the rest of the gods? The guardian spirit, a towering figure of smoke and fire, loomed before them. Its voice thundered like an approaching storm. To take what is not yours, you must prove your hearts are pure. Each of you will face a trial, and only those who overcome may pass. The thieves looked at one another, fear and resolve mingling in their eyes. Idoko was the first to step forward. The moment Idoko stepped past the guardian, the room shifted. He found himself in a dimly lit forest, surrounded by shadowy figures. They whispered his name, their voices dripping with accusation. "Why did you leave us, Idoko?" One figure hissed. It was his younger brother, Ogbaje, who he had left behind years ago when their village was attacked. Idoko tried to speak, but his voice caught in his throat. Then he saw his village burning. He saw himself running, not to save anyone but to escape. "You are a coward," the shadows said. "You use the darkness to hide, but you cannot run from your guilt." As the shadows closed in, Idoko fell on his knees. "I cannot undo the past," he cried, "but I can honor those I failed by protecting others now." With those words, the shadows faded, and he was returned to the group. His face was pale, but his steps were steady. The guardian nodded silently, allowing him to pass. Ajuma stepped forward next. The air around her grew cold, and she found herself in a smoky hut. Before her was her younger sister, Anwu, whose laughter once brought joy to her heart. "You knew," Anwu said, her voice filled with bitterness. "You saw the fire in your dreams, but you did nothing." Ajuma's knees buckled. She had been plagued by visions of the fire that consumed her family's home, but had dismissed them as nightmares. "I tried to save you," Ajuma cried. "No," Anwu replied. "You saved yourself." The scene shifted. Ajuma was back in the burning house, this time holding her sister's hand. She could feel the heat, smoke, and hear the screams. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I am sorry." Suddenly, a voice echoed, "The past cannot change, but the future is yours to shape." The flames vanished, and she was back with the group, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. Odoma approached the guardian with a swagger, but when he crossed into the trial, his confidence shattered. He stood in a village square surrounded by angry faces. "Traitor!" one man shouted. It was Okeme, a childhood friend he had betrayed to save himself from capture. Odoma saw himself years younger, hiding in the shadows. As soldiers dragged Okeme away, his friend's screams rang in his ears. "You lied," Okeme's voice boomed. "You told them I was the thief." Odoma tried to laugh it off, but his voice faltered. "I didn't mean for it to happen like that," he stammered. The scene changed. He saw Okeme chained and beaten, his life destroyed because of Odoma's falsehood. "I'm sorry," Odoma whispered. "If I could take it back, I would." The voices quieted and the angry faces melted away. When he returned, the others noticed that his usually mischievous grin was gone. Ocholi stepped forward, his broad shoulders squared. He entered a moonlight clearing, confident in his strength. But as the trial began, the moon disappeared, plunging him into darkness. He heard cries for help and rushed toward them, but his body felt weak, his limbs heavy. A group of raiders appeared, attacking a small family. He tried to fight them off, but without his moonlight strength, he was no match. He was thrown to the ground, forced to watch as the family begged for mercy. "You are nothing without your strength," a voice taunted. Ocholi's chest heaved with frustration. "Strength is not what makes a man," he said. "It's the will to protect those who cannot protect themselves." The moonlight returned, bathing him in its glow. He defeated the raiders with ease, and the family thanked him before vanishing. When he returned to the group, he was stronger, not just in body but in spirit. Ayegba leaned back, her voice softening. Each thief emerged from their trial changed. They had faced their deepest fears, their darkest regrets, and proven their resolve, but their journey was far from over. The true test awaited them in the chamber of the OGWUGWU. They did not yet know that the man who brought them there, Baba Asa, was not what he seemed. He grew impatient, urging them to hurry. They reached the chamber of the orb, its golden light filling the space. Idoko hesitated. "This is no ordinary treasure," he said. Before they could decide what to do, Baba Asa revealed himself. His form twisted into a monstrous shape, a demon bound to the orb. "Fools!" he roared. You have brought me to my prize. Now I shall reclaim it and destroy this kingdom. A battle erupted. The thieves fought with all their might, using their gifts to hold the demon back. In the end, it was Idoko who sacrificed himself, merging with the shadows to trap the demon forever. At dawn, the Attah himself came to the chamber. He saw the thieves broken but alive, and the orb safe once more. "Why did you do this?" the Attah asked. Ajuma stepped forward, her voice trembling. "We were blinded by greed, but we have learned our lesson. The orb is safe, but the price was high." The Attah studied them for a long moment. Then he said, "You are thieves, but today you are also saviors. Leave my kingdom and never return." And so they vanished into legend. Ayegba looked at Ochoduche, and that, my boy, is why stealing leads only to sorrow. Do you want to end up like Idoko, bound to shadows for eternity? "No, grandmother," Ochoduche said, shaking his head. "Good," she said with a smile. "Now go fetch me firewood. This meat won't cook itself." Thanks for watching, and please remember to subscribe to this channel for more beautiful stories. Like, comment, and share. Thank you.